I'm Stephanie, and I'm a IELTS psychologist slash entrepreneur turned homeschooling mom and coach. So this is our fourth video, and today I'm going to be sharing with you everything that I'm using for third grade. So it's our fourth year homeschooling. I've been homeschooling my eldest, who's 9 years old, since he was in kindergarten, and I was heavily involved in his education since pre-K, and even before he went into his stint in public school and in private school, I had tons of stuff that I did with him. So, and he's also my rapid learner, but by the same token, he's also my unmotivated learner. So he's very strong-willed. He has really strong interests in gaming, problem solving, a lot of spatial skills, and he's also gifted in some areas. So it's been very interesting to homeschool him because he has very strong opinions about what he wants to learn, how he wants to learn things. And with him, I really want him to develop a love for learning, since I know that he learns pretty quickly. Even if he's not at grade level, it's more important for me to make sure that he loves learning and that he doesn't lose interest and he doesn't get disenchanted with books and just anything academic that he might have to do later on. So I kind of let him lead and let him do things. We are pretty relaxed, and we're almost bordering on unschooling because we do let the children self-lead and do their own project-based things, like having their own YouTube channels, and he's getting started with all of that, like going on social media, sharing his expertise. So we're going kind of in that direction. So we kind of teeter-totter between relaxed and unschooling with him. So I'm going to start off by sharing with you how we do things throughout the day. So I'm going to be running through it. So at the same time that you're going to be seeing what we're doing for third grade, you're also going to be seeing our routine. So we don't have a schedule, we don't have a set time that we start, but we usually start after lunch. Around 12:30, 1 o'clock. That's when the kids have gotten a lot of time to play, to do anything that they want to do for themselves, do any YouTube projects, any different things that they might want to do as far as interest-led things. So we usually start right after lunch, around 12:30, 1 o'clock, and the first thing that he does is this. He does his art and writing curriculum. Now this is by Evan Moore. I love everything about Evan Moore. They have some great materials, and this is for grades 1 through 3, and we did Draw Right Now last year for second grade, and I'm going to be doing a video on second grade later on, so you can see what that looks like. So what I love about this curriculum, now it didn't come in this binder. I unbound it and I stuck it in this binder because it's easier to write once the leaves are on the table. So as you can see, let me just open this up. The first thing that he did was he drew a caterpillar, and while he drew the caterpillar, he also wrote the word, and then there's a few different sentences that he had to read and then fill in the blank with. And then he drew the caterpillar again, and then it gives you a prompt, or he can add details to the story. So it goes over the character traits of writing, so the who, what, where, when, and why. And he goes ahead and he names his caterpillar, he writes something, and then he also writes a sentence over on this side. And then usually we would break this up into 1 or 2 days, but sometimes he really loves to draw, so if he wants to just finish the whole entire character in one sitting, that's fine. Like I said, I'm very relaxed, so I let him lead and let him decide how he wants to do it. So at the end here, he's creating a paragraph. So in this section, he would either dictate it to me, and then I would help him with any words that he didn't know or he couldn't spell, or I would actually encourage him to try his hand at spelling it himself, even if it was incorrect. I reward effort versus accuracy. So this is an approach that he's really liking in terms of writing. Writing can be very obscure and kind of difficult, but he really loves this. And since a very young age, I've really encouraged them to narrate things to me, and I have a book where they write their dreams and their stories, and I'll probably do another video on that once I show you guys how I did first grade and second grade. But he's kind of used to doing that, so this is kind of a natural evolution of writing. But I'm really encouraging him to really think about storylines and really putting things down on paper. So so let me show you what the end of the book looks like. So there's just a bunch of different characters, like this is an airplane, and he just draws and he writes throughout the whole thing. So we're using this for writing and for art. Then for vocabulary, we're using Evan Moore, grade 3, and he's done grades, first, second, and now this is third. And we usually do 4 words a day. So what I'll do is I'll read out the word. So for instance, this is opponent, and I'll ask him, well, what do you think opponent means? And then he'll give me a guess, and then I'll go ahead, and if it's right on, I'll say, great, that's exactly what it is, and then we'll move on to the next word. But if it's not, then I'll say, oh, well, that's a noun, and this is what it means, and then I would go into this side right over here. And it gives more of a description, it has questions, and it just solidifies the vocabulary word. And what I usually try to do is, whatever vocabulary words we went over that day, I'll try to use it in everyday language with him, and whenever I have a chance to kind of bring up the word, I'll bring it up. And if I catch him using the word, I'll praise him and say, oh, that's awesome, that's one of our vocabulary words. And for the most part, he loves teaching his sister, and she also likes reviewing the vocabulary words with him, and they'll kind of try to use it with each other. So that's a really fun way to make vocabulary more organic. And so yeah, so that's vocabulary. Then for grammar, we're using First Language Lessons Level 3 by The Well-Trained Mind, and this is by Jessie Weiss and Sarah Buffington, and I'm really loving this grammar curriculum. So for second grade, we used something else. It was more of an introduction to grammar, and I feel like it was perfect for second grade, but this is really a great, solid, and simple grammar curriculum. So at first, he really didn't like it because there wasn't much color or characters, but now this is actually one of the things that he really looks forward to doing, and he does about 1 to 2 lessons per sitting. And he actually really loves diagramming sentences. Now, I didn't learn diagramming sentences when I was growing up, but I'm actually, as a visual learner, and he's also a very visual learner, he's been really enjoying the diagramming part. So I'm really excited about that. And I also love that this curriculum incorporates a bunch of poems and other kinds of small narratives, and it also incorporates tidbits about history. So it's a really nice, well-rounded curriculum, and it's not too heavy. It's maybe like 10 or 15, not even 15 minutes, like 10 minutes, and you're done with this. So that's a great one that's working, which I'm really happy about. Then for spelling, we're sticking with Horizons. He's finishing up Horizons second grade. He really has hated spelling, and this is an area where he's actually struggled. Everything else he's pretty much caught on very quickly, but he just does not like spelling. So we tried this other curriculum first, but he really enjoys the vividness of Horizons. As you can see, it's very colorful, and they have an approach of doing spelling where it's not by word lists, and he does crossword puzzles and all these other things that are more logic and spatially oriented, which is his domain anyway. So I really love the spelling curriculum, but we've been moving through it slowly, and we do homeschool all year round, so I expect us to be done with this pretty soon and then breeze through third grade spelling. So the third grade spelling is this, and the only difference that I can see just by glancing at it is that the words, the formatting is smaller. The formatting is smaller, but it's the same kind of setup, and it's a little bit less vivid, it's a little bit less colorful, as you can see. And they do have, and towards the end of the second grade spelling, they have the cursive on this side, and they have the manuscript. Here, throughout the whole entire thing, they have cursive and manuscript. So I'll probably do a review of these once we're done, or once I hit the other review videos, so you can look out for those. Then for reading, we are doing Horizons, and he just finished Robinson Crusoe. He absolutely loved that book, and then he did some read-alouds that I'm going to be going over now. So we kind of took a break from reading, and he's a very strong reader. So we're pretty much just using this curriculum for the books, and to do some of the worksheets for certain diagraphs and diphthongs and phonics, things that he might need some review over. But for the most part, we don't find ourselves needing to do much of that, so we're just using the books. So we're starting the Little Princess. So I was gonna move him right into third grade, but then when we saw the Shirley Temple A Little Princess movie over the holiday, and he really wanted to do this book. So I was actually gonna just jump into third, but he said, well, actually, Mom, I want to read this book, so we're gonna hang out here and we're gonna read this book before we jump into third grade, because he was really excited about that movie. And I was surprised because he's usually very anti anything girlish. But he really loved the narrative, and he loved how strong she was and everything else. And Mia has read the book. We have it as a novel. She's read the novel already. So she'll probably be joining us for this. So we're going to be doing this for the next couple months. And then we'll be doing 3rd grade. Or if not, we were thinking about trying out another literature-based like curriculum, just to have some copy work and other things that kind of tie in with the novel to kind of make it a little bit more meatier, more analytical. But I'm still kind of toying with that and tossing some ideas around, so we'll see how that goes. So once this book is over, then I'll probably like decide for sure which direction I want to go in with that. So as far as read-alouds, in the beginning of the year he read Viking Adventures by Douglas Gorsline. Then he also read The Call of the Wild by Jack London. Then he read Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. And The Swiss Family Robinson. So with the read-alouds, the way that it works is that at bedtime we'll read a chapter or two from here, and we encourage him to read a page, and then we read a page, or he reads a chapter and we read a chapter. Or if he doesn't feel like reading, we don't really push him. But this is a special time for us to just read together, have that special bonding time, and to just let him know that even though he is becoming a stronger reader, this is still a special family time for us. And it's a great way for us to just learn really great values from these stories and really just enjoy reading together, which I think is really important as a family culture. So the way that we approach that is I'll look for books that he might be interested in. When we go to the library, he'll check something out. When we go to Barnes & Noble, we encourage him to go and grab a book. So that's pretty much how we do it. It's really freeform. We kind of go with the flow there. So, but those are the books that he's enjoyed so far. Then for math, we are doing Primary Mathematics or Singapore Math 2B. So it's kind of funny. He's really good at math, and he's kind of sped through math, and then he went through a lull where he just kind of didn't want anything to do with it. He didn't want to see any more multiplication tables. He just did not care for it. So we spent a few months just letting him do practical math. So over the winter, he did a hot chocolate stand with his sister, and he had a chance to really practice his math skills, doing transactions, selling things, and we really just encouraged him whenever we went out to the grocery store. We would have him add, had him subtract, multiply, and doing really hands-on mental math. So that was his math for a while, and he's become really strong at it. So we haven't really been doing anything sit down in this way, but now we're picking this up again because he is interested in doing it. Now his sister's doing a living books math curriculum that I'm going to be going over, and he's expressed interest in doing that instead because there is a little bit more narrative. He's really into farming, and that math curriculum has farming narratives in it. So I don't know, we might continue with this because I really love Singapore, because Singapore is very strong in math, and we also dabble in Right Start Math too. So we're kind of doing a medley there, but we'll see. So right now he's about a quarter into this, and he finished 2A. So we'll see. I mean, he does enjoy this. He does enjoy this, and he doesn't really mind it, but he's really liking his sister's curriculum, and I'm really liking it too, but it isn't as advanced as Singapore. So we'll see. So I guess you'll once I do a review of what we did at the end of the year, I'll let you guys know how that goes. So, and that's the workbook. This is the textbook. It's a little thinner, and pretty much the textbook has color. That's the only difference. The textbook has color. It goes over some of the core concepts, and then it has some exercises in the workbook that it goes over. And it is a spiral method. I found it's not as spirally as other curriculums like Horizons, but it does have some of the same concepts from other things, just to repeat it, which he kind of doesn't enjoy. So I usually brush over those, and I have him go over the things that are new to him. So that's just something to consider if you're looking into Singapore. So as far as, okay, so where are we right now? Okay, So now, this year we're doing Spanish. So in kindergarten, we attempted to do Spanish. I bought this native Spanish curriculum that's from Puerto Rico. I'm Puerto Rican, my husband's Dominican, and I was so gung-ho. I was like, yes, he's gonna learn how to read Spanish, talk it, by the time that he's 4 years old, the same way that I did, the same way that my husband did. But of course, that wasn't the case. My son was not interested in Spanish. He did like some of it, but eventually it just fell by the wayside, and you know, we just didn't keep up with it. But this year, he came to me, he said, Mom, I really want to learn Spanish. I really want to keep our culture alive. I really want to be able to talk to Grandma and Grandpa and read the newspaper with them. And once I saw that love kind of butt up, then I knew it was time for me to bring out all my Spanish curriculum materials. So I highly encourage that if you're a bilingual family like we are, and if you want to keep the language alive, one of the biggest things is not to push your kids, just to wait for that readiness, to wait for that desire and that heart space to open up for them, to just want to learn it on their own for the right reasons, and then the learning will just come naturally. So this year I do have the other materials that are from the native speaking curriculum, and I'll probably do another video to show you that. But to start, we're using Song School Spanish. We have the DVDs that we play in the car, and this is just a very gentle curriculum that incorporates a lot of writing and a lot of practice, well, not a lot of practice, but just very gentle practice, and it has really cute characters in it. So I highly recommend it as a start to Spanish. And as you can see, here it has like feliz, different words, how to ask a friend, and it is spiral, and it has some repetition, which is nice. And I love that he does know a lot of these words, but he doesn't know how to spell them, and he doesn't know certain nuances or formal things in Spanish, so he's getting that here. So that's something that we're doing, and we're not doing that every single day. We're doing that whenever we get to it, or whenever he has an interest in doing it. Then for health, we're doing the Boy's Body book. So he is in pre-puberty, from what our doctor said. So I found this book at 5 Below, and it goes over puberty. It goes over how it's not an abrupt event, it's a continuum, and it's something to look forward to. We don't want to stay the same. One of the big things that he's been telling me about is like, oh, I'm not going to be, you know, myself. And I said, well, you've been evolving and you've been changing since you were born, and that's just a normal part of life. So we're going over this book in that context, and we're reading through this at night, and I really love this book so far. And I have a book for my daughter as well. So if you have a child that's almost entering into the tween age or is showing signs of puberty, I highly recommend this book. This one is by, let's see, is there a title on here? Nope, there isn't. So it's just the 3rd edition, the Boy's Body book. And for phys ed, we don't really do anything formal for phys ed. They're pretty active. They go to the park on the regular. They're very much involved in different activities. And then we also have these cute little Get Fit kit cards that I found at the Dollar Tree. And every morning when we're doing our devotional and when we're doing our morning work, they pull a card and they kind of do whatever's in the card. And we also have regular dancing sessions. So we dance, we do a lot of different things, like 3 times a week we go as a family and we jog at one of our local parks, and we take our dog with us. So right now that's what we're doing as far as phys ed. We are taking a break from dance, but they were very much into dance. We're just not really sure, you know, what we're going to be doing with that, because they weren't as excited about dance anymore. So maybe picking up a sport might be something that we might be looking into now in the spring. So that's where we are with that. And if you haven't seen my past 2 videos on Sassafras Science, that's what we're doing for science this year. I'm going to leave a card up top. Right now we are on volume 2 anatomy. So I'm going to leave that review, and then you can also look at volume 1 if you're interested in starting from the beginning. We love this so far, and I'll be doing a final review video on this, so be sure to look for that. For history this year, we're doing the story of the world. Now my daughter is doing My Father's World 2nd grade, and she's doing a survey of the United States. He is kind of like hearing in on that, so he's getting sort of another cycle of that. But in the morning, we do this together. And my daughter kind of sits in on this, but I don't, not force her, but I don't expect her to pay attention if she doesn't want to. But she likes paying attention sometimes, so she'll just kind of drop in. But I love the story of the world. It's in a storybook format, kind of like Sassafras Science. It's kind of like a living book as well, and it's just telling the story of the world. And I love that it's not, it's kind of secular, you could say. It doesn't really go from one end to the other. So that's something to consider if you want something that's overly Christian, or if you want something that's secular. You know, this is something that's like right down the middle, which is what we were looking for. We wanted to be able to cover both sides. And I love that it's like a story. So I read these out to them, and they also have audio CDs and not cassettes, DVDs that you could play in the car or in the house and have them wear headphones. We don't really do that. I kind of just read it to them, but that's something to consider if you want to kind of save on the reading time. And then there are worksheets that I printed and copied off for each child. So each child gets one of these, and then they go through the coloring pages, and they color, or they do the activities. There's crossword puzzles, all kinds of things in here, and they usually do that while I'm reading. So that's that. And then Story of the World recommended getting this encyclopedia. This is the Kingfisher History Encyclopedia 3rd edition, and usually when I'm done reading, we'll go in here and we'll see what that part of history, what other details that weren't covered there are in here. And they love the pictures in here. So that is it. That's what I'm using for 3rd grade. At the end, I am planning on doing a final review of just showing you guys what I still ended up doing, if I added anything in. So be sure to look for that. I hope that you enjoyed this. And if you have any questions or comments, please be sure to leave them at the bottom. If you're not following me yet, please do. I post videos every single Tuesday, and I hope that you're enjoying them if you're a new homeschooler or if you're a seasoned homeschooler looking for inspiration. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please also follow me on social media. I post regular tips and just glimpses into our homeschooling life. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.